The alien empire was in trouble. For years, they had ruled with an iron fist, spreading across the galaxy. Now things were falling apart. An unknown disease was spreading quickly across their colonies. No matter how hard they tried, they could not find a cure. The alien leaders were desperate. They sent out an SOS to anyone who could help. The message was simple. Help, we need aid. Our people are dying. They thought it would be enough to get a response. The Empire had many allies, but none of them could offer the help they needed. So, they turned to the one place they thought could provide support. The SOS traveled far, reaching distant stars in empty space. But what the aliens didn't know was that the message had reached a new force they were not ready for. The humans on Earth, the leaders watched the message with curiosity. They knew that the aliens were a powerful force, but they also knew something the aliens did not. The humans had technology far beyond anything the aliens could imagine. The humans decided to answer the SOS, but not in the way the aliens expected. Instead of sending aid, they sent something much more dangerous. A warship, large and powerful, appeared in the alien system. Its name was Terra Rex. The ship was not just any ship, it was a weapon. The humans had designed it to be a force of destruction, and now it was headed straight for the aliens. On the alien homeworld, the leaders were busy planning their next move. They thought the humans would arrive with medical supplies or help, in some form, but when the Terra Rex appeared in their skies, they knew something was wrong. This was not the aid they had asked for. This was an attack. As the warship hovered above their planet, the aliens scrambled to prepare for the worst, but they were too late. The humans had already set their plans in motion, and the alien empire would never be the same again. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The Terra Rex hovered in the alien skies like a giant shadow. The humans aboard the ship were ready. They knew what they had to do. Jason Hayes, the captain of the ship, stood at the command center, looking out at the vast emptiness of space. His eyes scanned the alien planet below, waiting for orders to attack. The message they had received was clear and so's, but Jason knew that the aliens would not get the help they'd hoped for. Instead, they would get something much worse. Humans had come for one reason: to show the aliens that they were no longer the most powerful force in the galaxy. Jason was calm. He had led missions before, but this one was different. This time they were facing an empire that had ruled for centuries. But the humans had something the aliens didn't: determination and an unbreakable will. The Terra Rex was more than just a ship. It was a weapon designed to strike fear into anyone who faced it. The alien leaders, on the other hand, had no idea what was coming. They saw the Terra Rex appear in their system and thought it was a ship that would bring supplies and medicine. They were wrong. As the ship powered up its weapons, the aliens scrambled to prepare for something they never expected: an attack. On the surface of their homeworld, the alien generals were discussing their plans. They had heard of the humans, but they had never seen their military power firsthand. They assumed the humans were just a minor species, nothing more than a nuisance. But as the first blast from the Terra Rex tore through their defenses, they realized they had made a grave mistake. The ship's weapons were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. The Terra Rex fired with precision, wiping out entire defense systems in a matter of seconds. The aliens were too slow to react, and their response was scattered. The humans were too powerful, too prepared. Jason's voice came over the intercom, calm and steady. "This is not an invasion. This is a message." As he spoke, the ship's weapons continued to fire, tearing through the alien defenses. The One-Sprout Empire was crumbling under the force of a single human ship. The aliens had asked for help, but the humans had answered in a way they would never forget. Asterisk, asterisk, the battle had only just begun, but the alien forces were already struggling. The Terra Rex continued its relentless assault, tearing through the alien defenses with ease. Every blast from the ship seemed to shake the planet itself. On the surface, the alien soldiers scrambled to organize a defense, but it was too late. Their systems were overwhelmed. Their weapons were useless against the humans' advanced technology. Inside the Terra Rex, Jason Hayes and his crew were focused. They knew they had to keep up the pressure. The alien empire was strong, but Their strength was no match for the humans' precision and firepower. The ship's crew worked in perfect harmony, each member knowing their role without a word needing to be spoken. Every command was followed immediately. The ship was not just a war machine, it was a symbol of human power. Jason stood at the command center watching the monitors as the destruction unfolded. His eyes were calm, but inside he knew the consequences of what they were doing. The aliens had called for help, but the humans had delivered something much different. As much as Jason hated the thought of what was happening, he knew it was necessary. The galaxy had to understand that humans were not to be underestimated. The alien leaders, who had once ruled with arrogance, now found themselves cowering in fear. Their greatest strength was turning into their greatest weakness. They had thought the humans were weak, unprepared for a battle of this scale. They were wrong. The Terra Rex had shown them the true power of humanity. The alien generals tried to launch a counterattack, but their efforts were futile. The Terra Rex was too fast, too strong. Every shot fired from the alien ships was dodged or destroyed before it could even reach its target. The humans were outmatching them at every turn. The alien commanders began to realize that their fate had already been sealed. Back on Earth, the leaders watched the battle unfold. They knew the outcome, but they couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The humans had proven themselves. They had answered the SOS with fire and fury, showing the galaxy that they were not to be trifled with. The message had been sent, and it would echo through the stars for generations to come. Asterisk, 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 the alien leaders, once so sure of their power, now faced the grim reality of defeat. As the Terra Rex continued its assault, they scrambled to make sense of what was happening. The humans were relentless, their ship's weapons tearing through everything the aliens had worked so hard to build. The once mighty empire was crumbling, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. In the command center of the Terra Rex, Jason Hayes watched the destruction unfold on the monitors. He remained calm, focused on the mission. But inside, a part of him was conflicted. He had always believed in the importance of protecting Earth, but this was different. The humans had not come to offer aid. They'd come to destroy. Still, Jason knew that the stakes were too high to turn back now. Galaxy needed to understand the power of humanity as the humans moved deeper into the heart of the alien stronghold. The alien resistance grew weaker. The soldiers fought bravely, but they were no match for the humans. The Terra Rex moved like a shadow, cutting through the alien defenses with ease. Every alien ship that tried to stop them was destroyed before it could even fire its weapons. The humans were too fast, too powerful. The alien generals, desperate to stop the humans, ordered their forces to regroup. They had to hold their ground, but the humans' assault was too much. The Terra Rex was unstoppable. The once feared alien empire now found itself at the mercy of a single human ship. On the planet below, alien leaders tried to rally their forces, but it was clear that the end was near. The humans had come to destroy, and destroy they did. The alien cities were leveled, and their greatest military assets were reduced to rubble. There was no escape, no way to fight back. The humans had made sure of that. Back on Earth, the news of the battle spread quickly. The galaxy watched in awe as the humans carried out their mission with precision and power. The message was clear. The humans were no longer a species to be ignored. They had arrived, and they would not be pushed aside. Asterisk, asterisk. The battle was nearly over. The alien forces had been crushed under the might of the Terra Rex, and there was nothing left to stop the humans. Jason Hayes stood at the command center, staring at the monitors. The fight had been intense, but it was clear the aliens had lost. Their empire, once the most powerful in the galaxy, was now nothing but a memory. The humans had destroyed their military bases, wiped out their cities, and broken their will to fight. The alien leaders, once so proud, were now hiding in fear. They had never expected a force like the humans. They had thought the Terra Rex was just another ship, but they were wrong. It was a weapon, and it had done its job. Jason knew the battle was won, but there was still work to be done. The humans had sent a clear message. They would no longer be passive observers in the galaxy. They would fight when they had to, and they would win. The alien empire had been the first target, but it wouldn't be the last. As the Terra Rex moved over the ruined alien planet, Jason gave the order to begin the final sweep. The remaining alien ships had surrendered, and the humans were now in control. The warship wasn't just a symbol of victory. It was a warning to anyone who might think of challenging humanity. On the alien homeworld, the leaders finally realized the true scale of their mistake. They had called for help, but they had never expected to be destroyed. The humans had arrived not as saviors, but as conquerors. Their empire was gone, and there was no coming back from this. The message had been sent. The humans were not to be underestimated. They had proven themselves as a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would never forget the day the Terra Rex arrived. Back on Earth, the leaders watched the victory unfold. They knew the consequences of what they had done, but they also understood the importance of their actions. The galaxy would never forget the humans' power. They would never make the mistake of underestimating them again. Asterisk, 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 the battle was over, but the consequences were only beginning to sink in. The alien empire, which had once controlled vast stretches of the galaxy, was now shattered. Their great cities lay in ruins, their fleets scattered in space, and their leaders were nowhere to be found. The Terra Rex had done its job. But now Jason Hayes and his crew were left to deal with the aftermath. As the ship hovered above the destroyed planet, Jason thought about what had just happened. The aliens had called for help, but instead of aid, they had received destruction. Jason knew that the humans had to make a decision now. Whether to take full control of the galaxy, or to step back and allow the pieces to fall into place on their own. The question weighed heavily on him. What was next for humanity? The leaders back on Earth were already discussing the future. The victory over the alien empire was significant, but it raised many questions. Should humanity continue its expansion into the galaxy, or should they pull back? Some argued that they had proven their strength and should now be the dominant force in the galaxy. Others believed that humanity should be careful, knowing that there were still other, more dangerous threats out there. For now, Jason and his crew remained in control of the alien system. The Terra Rex was the symbol of their power. They had not only defeated an entire empire, but they had done it in a way that no one could ignore. The galaxy would never be the same. The humans had shown that they were not to be taken lightly, and their message had been loud and clear. As Jason looked out at the empty space, he couldn't help but wonder if they had made the right choice. The galaxy was vast, and there were many unknowns. But one thing was certain. The humans were no longer just survivors. They were now a force to be reckoned with, for now. The alien empire was gone, but the future was uncertain. Would the humans continue their path of conquest, or would they turn their attention elsewhere? Jason didn't have all the answers, but he knew one thing. The galaxy would never forget what the humans had done. Asterisk, 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 the dust had settled, and the once proud alien empire was no more. The Terra Rex remained in orbit over the planet, its engines humming softly. Jason Hayes stood at the command center, looking out at the wreckage below. He had led his crew to victory, but now a new challenge faced them. What would come next? The alien leaders had been taken prisoner, and the remnants of their army had surrendered. The humans had destroyed their way of life, but now they had to decide what to do with the galaxy. There was no going back to how things had been. The aliens had been wiped out in a matter of days, and humanity had made its mark on the galaxy. Jason knew that this victory would change everything. The galaxy would not forget the day the Terra Rex arrived. Humanity had shown its strength, but the question was, what would they do with that power? Would they continue to conquer, or would they choose a different path? The leaders back on Earth were already discussing the next steps. Some called for continued expansion, seeing the destruction of the alien empire as an opportunity to dominate the galaxy. Others argued for caution, knowing that other alien forces might one day rise up to challenge the humans. For Jason, the decision was difficult. He had been a soldier all his life, and he knew the cost of war. The galaxy was vast, and there were many dangers that humanity had not yet faced. But at the same time, he couldn't deny the sense of pride he felt. The humans had done the impossible. They had proven their place in the galaxy. The Terra Rex was still in the alien system, its crew waiting for orders. Jason knew that, for now, they had to maintain control. The humans had to rebuild what they had destroyed, and that would take time. But as long as the Terra Rex was there, the galaxy would know that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. Jason turned from the window, his mind made up. The galaxy had been forever changed. It was up to the humans to decide what kind of future they would build. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The alien homeworld was now a place of silence. Where there had once been great cities, there were now only ruins. The alien fleet was scattered in space, broken and useless. The Terra Rex stood as the only reminder of what had happened. The humans had done what they came to do. Now the galaxy was left to deal with the aftermath. Back on Earth, leaders discussed the next steps. The victory had been swift and decisive, but it left them with a heavy responsibility. The alien empire had been one of the largest in the galaxy, and now it was gone. The humans had the power to shape the future, but they had to decide how they would use it. Some on Earth argued for continued expansion. They believed that the humans had earned their place at the top of the galactic hierarchy. With the alien empire out of the way, there was nothing to stop them from claiming more territory, more resources, and more power. They saw the destruction of the alien empire as the first step in a larger plan to dominate the galaxy. Others, however, called for caution. They knew that there were still many unknowns in the galaxy. The alien empire had been powerful, but it had fallen in a matter of days. What would happen if other empires or factions rose up to challenge the humans? The galaxy was a dangerous place. The humans had only just begun to explore it. Jason Hayes knew that the future was uncertain. He had led his crew to victory, but he didn't know what that meant for humanity. The galaxy was vast, and there were many forces that could threaten Earth. As much as he felt pride in what they had accomplished, he also knew the risks. The humans had to be smart. They had to build relationships with other races and be ready for whatever came next. As the Terra Rex prepared to leave the alien system, Jason looked out at the empty space. The battle was over, but the war for the galaxy was just beginning. The humans had proven themselves, but now they had to decide what kind of future they wanted. Would they conquer, or would they try to find a way to live in peace with the other species of the galaxy? As the Terra Rex left the alien system, a sense of uncertainty hung in the air. The battle had been won, but what now? Jason Hayes stood at the command center, staring at the stars. The victory was bittersweet. The alien empire, once so powerful, had been destroyed. But that victory came with questions, many of them unanswered. What would the galaxy think of humanity now? What would the other species do? Back on Earth, the leaders discussed the aftermath of the attack. Some saw it as a new beginning, a chance to take control of the galaxy and expand humanity's reach. They believed that the destruction of the alien empire had opened up a vast expanse of space for humanity to conquer. The opportunity to take the lead in the galaxy was there for the taking, and they were ready to seize it. Others, however, were more cautious. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers. The alien empire may have fallen, but there were still many threats out there. Other species, more powerful than the humans, could rise up and challenge them. The human leaders knew they had to be careful. The victory had been swift, but it had also shown just how easily things could change. Humans had proven their power, but now they had to prove their wisdom. Jason knew that the decision wasn't simple. He had seen the power of the Terra Rex in action, and he understood what it meant. The humans had shown they were not to be underestimated, but he also knew that it was not enough to simply conquer. The galaxy was full of complex politics, alliances, and dangers that the humans had never faced before. He turned to his crew, who were working quietly in the background, preparing for their next orders. They were all on edge, uncertain of what the future held. Some were eager for more conquest, while others were more reluctant. Jason felt the weight of their eyes on him, knowing that he had to lead them through this uncertain time. The Terra Rex moved through the stars, heading back to Earth. But the journey was not just about returning home. It was about deciding what kind of future the humans would build. The galaxy was wide open, but it was up to humanity to choose its path. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The Terra Rex finally returned to Earth, its mission complete. Jason Hayes stood at the bridge, looking out at the planet below. It was a sight he had seen countless times before, but now it felt different. The galaxy was no longer the same. The humans had proven their strength, but they had also opened a door to new possibilities. What would they do next? Back on Earth, the leaders gathered to discuss the future. The victory over the alien empire had been a major accomplishment, but it had left them with more questions than answers. Some leaders wanted to expand, to take control of the galaxy and push humanity's influence as far as possible. They believed that the destruction of the alien empire had given the humans a chance to dominate, but others were more cautious. They knew the galaxy was vast and filled with unknown dangers. There were other species, other powers, that could rise up against them. The alien empire may have fallen, but there were still many threats out there. Humanity had to be smart about how they moved forward. Single victory could not guarantee their place in the galaxy forever. Jason listened to the discussions with mixed feelings. He understood both sides. The power the humans now had was undeniable, but he also knew that with power came responsibility. The galaxy was not just a place to conquer, it was a place to explore, to learn, and to grow. Humans had a chance to shape their future, but they had to do it carefully. In the end, the decision was made. The humans would not immediately expand or conquer more territories. Instead, they would focus on building relationships with other species, learning from them, and understanding the complexities of the galaxy. They had shown their strength, but now it was time to show their wisdom. Jason knew that this was only the beginning. The humans had taken their first steps into a larger world, and there would be challenges ahead. But he believed that humanity could handle whatever came next. The Terra Rex had proven that, and so had the humans aboard it. As the ship's engines powered down and the crew prepared to disembark, Jason felt a sense of pride. The humans had shown the galaxy that they were not to be ignored. They had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with. But they had also shown that they were more than just warriors. They were builders, explorers, and leaders. The galaxy had been forever changed, and humanity was ready to take its place in it.